Breaking Jim Jones has finally broken his silence. And baby, when I say the tea is nuclear, I mean Chernobyl-level meltdown. You thought Chrissy Lampkin was just planning a wedding? NAH Sis was planning a whole heist. We're talking $7 million gone without a trace. Not misplaced, not miscounted, straight up vanished like Houdini with a Birkin bag. And you won't believe how he found out. Picture this: an empty safe, a missing laptop, and one petty little bracelet left. Like a signature on a crime scene. Cold-blooded. Now pause. Let me ask you this. What would you do if the woman you've loved for over a decade just dipped with your money, your hard drives, your contracts, and your so-called day one homie was caught on surveillance holding the bag? Literally. We watching Love and Hip Hop or an episode of Power? And let's not even talk about that viral footage. Because once that hit the internet, wasn't just Chrissy trending, the entire Dipset family tree started shaking. Is Chrissy the mastermind or just the face of a deeper setup? Did Jim play himself? Or did she play the whole game and win? Buckle up, it's about to get messy. Jim Jones thought he had seen it all. The come up, the fame, the fake friends, the loyal ones. And the ride or die woman he had loved for over a decade, Chrissy Lampkin. But what he didn't see coming was the betrayal that hit harder than anything he ever faced in the streets or the industry. This wasn't about love anymore. Wasn't about drama for the cameras or a heated argument behind closed doors. Was about $7 million disappearing without a trace. And the person he trusted the most turning out to be the one holding the knife behind his back. Jim didn't find out in some explosive argument or a public fallout. No. It started in silence. A weird silence. Chrissy wasn't home when she said she would be. Her phone rang, but never picked up. Then a cold, dry text came in with no context, no emotion, just a folded hands emoji. Jim brushed it off, assuming maybe she needed space, maybe they had hit a rough patch. But something wasn't right. That night, he went to check the safe. Not because he suspected anything, but because instinct told him something was off. And that's when the ground beneath his feet collapsed. The safe was empty. It's not just light, not short on a few bills, completely stripped. Every stack of cash, every important document, gone. The contracts, the flash drives, even the crypto. Wallet, hard keys, all missing. All that remained was one single gold bracelet. Hers placed neatly in the center of the empty box like a mic drop. That was her signature, her silent confession. The kind of gesture that doesn't just hurt, it haunts. Jim stood there frozen, trying to breathe, trying to process what his eyes were seeing. This wasn't just theft. This was personal. This was surgical. Whoever did this knew what they were looking for, and they knew exactly where to find it. Panic set in. He dialed her number again and again, and each time straight to voicemail. Texts sent. No reply. Delivered but never read. He tried to keep it together, telling himself maybe she had a reason. Maybe something forced her hand. But then came the email. One line. No name, no subject. Just check the footage. Attached was a video grainy time-stamped clearly from a hotel hallway security cam. He opened it with shaking hands, heart pounding through his chest. There she was, Chrissy, dressed in black hoodie, up slipping quietly into a Miami hotel. Suite 3 days earlier, but she wasn't alone. Seconds later, someone else stepped into the frame. And Jim nearly dropped his phone. Freaky Zeke, his longtime brother-in-arms. Dipset family, this man who had been in his corner since day one. The video showed them entering together, Chrissy carrying a folder, Zeke with a duffel bag. 4 hours later, they left. Chrissy was smiling, holding a different folder. Zeke's bag now looked stuffed. Jim felt like he was watching a slow-motion car crash that he was strapped into. His hands went numb. His heart went cold. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. And just when he thought the day couldn't get any worse, another email hit. This time, it was a PDF. a scanned copy of a legal document with blurred sections. But the names were clear as day: James Jones, Chrissy Lampkin, and someone named Angela Reyes. That name punched him in the chest. Angela, a ghost from Chrissy's past. A woman who used to be her best friend before she disappeared without a trace in 2012. No goodbye, no fallout, just gone. Jim remembered the whispers back then, something about betrayal, about pain Chrissy never fully unpacked. But he never pried. Now it all started making sense. A voice note soon leaked. Chrissy's voice distorted but unmistakable. He thinks I'm heartless, but he forgot what he did to me. To Angela, I didn't. I never forgot. I just waited for the right moment, and that's when it hit. This wasn't about money. This wasn't about greed. This was revenge. Revenge that had been simmering for over a decade, just waiting to be served ice cold. She hadn't just taken his money. She took his pride, his control, his image. And she didn't do it alone. She was smart. She enlisted the one person Jim never expected his own brother in arms. And the worst part? The deeper he dug, the worse it got. Studio footage leaked next. Chrissy seen entering Jim's personal music vault. C stayed for nearly an hour and left holding his laptop. The same laptop that held unreleased music, contracts, endorsements, crypto portfolios, the works. She didn't just hit his wallet, she hit his future. The access logs showed the door was opened by a keycard registered to none other than Freaky Zeke. And now the questions were turning into firestorms online. Team Chrissy, Team Jim, accusations flying. Was this planned from the beginning? Was Chrissy always waiting to strike? And how deep did this betrayal really go? Jim wasn't just dealing with a breakup anymore. He was standing in the middle of a war zone. Except this wasn't bullets flying, it was betrayal slicing from every direction. The footage from the studio was the confirmation he didn't want but couldn't deny. Chrissy walked into his private vault like she owned the place. No hesitation, no fear. That laptop she took, it wasn't just a MacBook hit, was his life. His career, his leverage. Okay, inside were unreleased Dipset tracks, contracts for upcoming brand deals, and the digital keys to crypto accounts tied to multiple revenue streams. Every piece of that machine was built on years of hustle, and she took it like it was hers to begin with. And that's when the leaks got worse. Not just video, but voice notes. One of Chrissy's supposed conversations with an unnamed cousin hit the blogs, and her words were cold as ice. Let them talk. I don't owe the world an explanation. I did what I had to do. Fans went wild. Some called her calculated, others called her courageous. But no one could deny this wasn't some spur of the moment meltdown. This was methodical. Every move from Chrissy was laid out like a blueprint. Jim's silence only made it louder. For 3 days, his socials went black. No posts, no stories, no updates. Just dark, empty screens and a profile that once showed love now looked like a crime scene. But then came the plot twist that sent the internet into a tailspin. Codebox link, anonymous and untraceable, started circulating online, Reddit, Twitter. Discord all flooded with one folder title, proof she wasn't alone. Inside were screenshots of wire transfers, a few chilling voice notes, and one explosive documenta signed NDA between Chrissy Lampkin and none other than Cameron. That's right, the General. Dipset's frontman, Jim's day one. A man who had stood beside him on stages, in studios, in every major moment of his career. The NDA was time-stamped 6 months earlier. And one of the bank records showed $450,000 wired from an offshore LLC linked to Chrissy's new account in Dubai. People started connecting dots like wildfire. Cam hadn't been seen with Jim in months. No shoutouts, no collabs, no public appearances. At first, fans thought it was just normal drift, but now it looked like something darker. Was Cam part of this too? Did he help Chrissy plan the takedown from inside? And if he did, what was in it for him? A voice recording surfaced not long after. Allegedly, Chrissy again, this time talking in a low, hushed tone. He was never going to give me what I earned, so I took it. And Cam, he promised to keep Jim distracted. Distracted from what? Distracted so she could rob him blind. Distracted so she could clean out his accounts and ghost the country. The questions spiraled. Theories exploded. Comment sections became battlegrounds. Some fans stood firm with Chrissy, claiming she was finally standing up for herself after years of being sidelined, but others weren't buying it. They said this wasn't empowerment, it was exploitation. And just when the heat felt unbearable, someone dropped the final photo that turned suspicion into full-blown chaos. Aloris. Grainy pic taken at a rooftop lounge in Dubai showed Chrissy. Cameron in shock, of all shucks Angela Reyes. That's right. The ghost from Chrissy's past, the one she claimed Jim had wronged. The same Angela who had vanished over a decade ago was alive, smiling, relaxed. Clinking glasses with the two people who had just flipped Jim's entire world upside down. The betrayal wasn't just romantic or financial, it was surgical, strategic, and years in the making. And the worst part? They looked like they'd already won. Jim saw that photo and knew it was over. Not just the relationship, not just the trust, but the entire illusion he had built around the people closest to him. That grainy rooftop shot wasn't just proof of betrayal, it was the full blueprint of a conspiracy that had been hiding in plain sight. Chrissy, Cameron, Angela sitting together like a power circle, like they'd already toasted too. The downfall they orchestrated. And Jim, he was the last to know. The man left holding the shattered pieces while the ones he loved most walked away without a scratch. But just when the internet thought Jim had been defeated, when fans assumed he'd disappear into silence and shame, he finally made his move. No long post, no messy IG, live rant, just one Instagram story. A dimly lit photo of Jim sitting alone in the studio, eyes bloodshot, face hard as stone. In front of him, the laptop Chrissy had taken, now clearly back in his possession. Into the corner of the desk, and there it was, a sticky note in bold red ink with 4 chilling words. You missed one file. That was all he wrote. No names, no context. It's just a warning, or maybe a promise. And instantly, the narrative flipped again. What was on that file? What did Chrissy miss? What piece of the puzzle was still in Jim's hands? Fans started speculating, wildly. Some claimed Jim had evidenced something explosive that could take the entire house of cards down. Others believed it was music, unreleased diss tracks that would air out the betrayal through lyrics instead of lawsuits. But one thing was certain, he wasn't done. Chrissy may have vanished off the grid, wiping all her socials clean and leaving the public in silence, but Jim wasn't letting it slide. Mama Jones came back online too, this time with even more fire. In another raw, unfiltered live stream, she stared directly into the camera and delivered words that shook everyone. That woman came into my house, smiled in my face, kissed my cheek, and stole from my son. That ain't no woman. That's a thief, a liar, and if she touched that foundation money, then she didn't just steal, she broke God's law. And baby, God don't play about blessings built on lies. Her voice cracked, but her rage didn't, and people felt that. Fans flooded her comments, calling for justice, demanding answers, and refusing to let this story die down. It wasn't just about celebrity gossip anymore. It was about a man publicly stripped of his wealth, his image, and his legacy, all in front of the world, while the woman responsible slipped away with a smirk and a plane ticket. Bloggers began teasing a part 2 to the Dropbox leak, claiming another set of files were coming, files that could implicate even more names. And when a known industry ghostwriter tweeted, "Chrissy's not the only one who signed an NDA," the streets went silent. Who else was involved? Who else knew what was happening and said nothing? Dipset fans were shattered. The unity they had always celebrated now looked like a cover-up for something darker. Jim's supporters launched a petition demanding Chrissy return the money, while others began dissecting old interviews, searching for signs of betrayal in past smiles and hugs. And in the middle of it all, Jim just watched. Quiet, calculated, waiting. The man who had once worn his heart on his sleeve had now learned the cost of loyalty. And if Chrissy thought she erased him with one move, she forgot who she was dealing with. Because sometimes silence isn't surrender, it's setup. And if that one file really holds what people think it does, then this story is far from over. It's only just getting started if you made it this far. Then you already know this isn't just some breakup story. This is a blueprint for betrayal. Chrissy didn't just walk away with $7 million. She walked away with years of trust, love, and loyalty, like it meant nothing. And Jim, he's not just sitting back. That one missing file changes everything. So now the question is, what's in it? What did she leave behind, and who else was in on it? You've seen the footage, heard the voice notes, watched the silence. Turn louder than the lies. But trust me, this is just the tip of the iceberg. So if your jaw hit the floor even once, do yourself a favor, hit that like button so we know you're watching. Subscribe so you don't miss the next drop, because the way this is unfolding, the next part might be the one they don't want you to hear. And don't be shigit in those comments and tell us who really played who. Is Chrissy the villain? Or was this the revenge of a woman who'd had enough? No filters, no sugarcoating, just raw, uncut truth. See you in the next one.